You could be the most interesting and attractive woman in the room, have the most engaging personality, and be exactly what he says he wants. But if you're doing what 90% of women do in the early stages of attraction, he'll lose interest before you even realize you had it. And here's what's going to surprise you. The women men chase relentlessly aren't necessarily more beautiful, more successful, or more available than you. They simply understand 4 psychological triggers that flip a man's pursuit instinct from optional to obsessive. I'm going to tell you something that goes against everything modern dating culture has taught you, but it's backed by how male psychology actually works. The reason men stop chasing has nothing to do with you not being enough and everything to do with you giving too much too soon in ways you don't even notice. The women who have men pursuing them consistently, desperately trying to lock them down, aren't playing games. They're operating from a completely different mindset that makes chase inevitable. What if I told you that every text you send trying to keep his interest is actually killing it? That the very behaviors you think show you're interested are the exact behaviors that make you forgettable? Today, we're breaking down 4 rules that will completely change how men see you, pursue you, and fight to keep you. But I'm warning you now, these rules require you to do the exact opposite of what feels natural when you like someone. Before we get into the 4 rules, you need to understand something basic about male psychology that most women completely misunderstand. Men don't chase what's easy to catch, they never have, and they never will. This isn't about playing hard to get or manipulating anyone. It's about understanding that pursuit is built into male nature. And when you remove the need to pursue, you remove the very thing that creates obsessive interest. Most women have been taught that showing interest is how you attract someone, that being available, responsive, and eager proves you're a good partner. But here's what actually happens in a man's mind. The moment he knows he has you completely, the moment there's no more mystery or challenge, his brain stops producing the chemicals that create that addictive can't stop thinking about her feeling. This doesn't make men shallow or broken. It makes them human. Think about anything you've ever wanted badly versus something that was just handed to you. The thing you had to work for, the thing that felt just slightly out of reach. That's the thing you valued most. That's the thing you told everyone about. That's the thing you protected once you got it. The 4 rules we're about to explore aren't manipulation tactics. They're about understanding male psychology so deeply that you naturally create the conditions for pursuit. They're about stepping into your power instead of giving it away the moment someone shows interest. And they're about becoming the woman men don't just like, but the woman they can't afford to lose. If you've been confused about why men seem interested and then disappear, why they pursue you at first but then pull back, or why you keep attracting men who won't commit, these 4 rules are going to change everything. Because the woman men chase isn't the woman who makes it easy. She's the woman who makes it worthwhile. Rule 1, never match his effort. Stay slightly less invested. This is where most women sabotage themselves without even knowing it. A man shows interest, sends a long text, plans a date, and right away you match his energy. He texts you at 9 a.m., you text him back at 9:05 a.m. He suggests dinner Friday, you clear your entire schedule. He shares something personal. You share something even more personal to prove you're equally invested. And just like that, the chase is over. Here's what most women don't understand about how men experience attraction. Men are hunters by nature, and hunters need something to hunt. When you immediately match his investment level, you remove the very tension that keeps his interest alive. You become a sure thing, and sure things don't keep men awake at night. Men are constantly calculating whether they're more invested than you are, not because they're playing games, but because their pursuit instinct is directly tied to uncertainty. When a man can't quite tell if he has you completely, when there's just enough space between his effort and your response, his brain stays in chase mode. A woman who understands this rule doesn't ignore men or play hard to get in obvious ways. She simply stays one step less invested than he is at every stage. He sends 3 texts, she sends 2. He wants to see her Friday. She's busy Friday but free Saturday. He's thinking about the future. She's enjoying the present. This doesn't mean being cold or unavailable. It means being warm and engaged when you're together, but never more eager than he is. It means having a life he's trying to become part of, not a life that pauses the moment he shows interest. The right man won't be put off by by this. He'll be drawn in by it. Because here's the secret most women miss. Men want to feel like they're winning you over, not like you've already decided. They want to feel like they're earning your attention, not like it's freely given to anyone who asks. When you match his effort exactly, you send a message that says, I'm just as invested as you are, which means you don't need to do anything more to keep my interest. But when you stay slightly less invested, you send a completely different message. You say, I like you, but I'm not sure yet. You're going to have to keep showing me why I should choose you. That uncertainty, that slight gap between his effort and your response, that's what keeps the chase alive. That's what makes him think about you when you're not around. That's what makes him want to do more, give more, be more to win you over. This rule isn't about being difficult or holding back. It's about understanding that your interest is valuable, and valuable things aren't given away for free. They're earned gradually through steady effort and genuine interest. Rule 2, create space where he can miss you. Women who have men obsessively chasing them understand something important. Absence creates desire. Not long absence, not ghosting, not playing disappearing games, but steady, consistent space that lets him feel your absence and want to fill it. Most women do the opposite. They text constantly. They're always available. They fill every silence with conversation, and they make themselves so present in his life that he never gets the chance to miss them. And you cannot want what you never lack. Think about it this way. When you're always there, always responding, always available, you become background noise in his life. You become the sure thing he can text when he's bored, the reliable option he knows will always respond. But when you create space, when you're not always instantly available, something shifts in his brain. Men process emotions differently when we're constantly available. Men don't have time to sit with their feelings about us. They don't have time to wonder what we're doing, who we're with, or whether they might be losing our interest. But when there's space, when we're not immediately reachable, they start thinking about us in ways they don't when we're always present. Creating space doesn't mean ignoring him for days or playing games. It means having a full life that doesn't stop when he enters it. It means not always being free when he wants to see you. It means sometimes ending conversations first, not because you're trying to manipulate him, but because you have other things that matter to you. Here's what happens in his mind when you create this space. He starts to notice your absence. He starts checking his phone more often to see if you've texted. He starts thinking about when he'll see you next. He starts wanting to lock in more of your time because he realizes it's not unlimited. The women men chase relentlessly are women who have lives they love. They have friends they prioritize, hobbies they're passionate about, goals they're working toward. They're not sitting around waiting for a man to give their life meaning. And that independence, that fullness of life outside of him, that's incredibly attractive. When you create space, you give him room to pursue you. You give him the chance to be the one reaching out, the one suggesting plans, the one putting in effort to see you. But when you're always available, always initiating, always present, you take away his need to chase because you're already right there. This rule changes everything because it shifts the dynamic from you pursuing him to him pursuing you. It creates natural tension that keeps attraction alive. It makes your time together more valuable because he knows it's not guaranteed. It makes him appreciate you more because he has to work to see you. Men value what they have to pursue. They protect what they had to earn, and they commit to women who have lives rich enough that being chosen by them actually means something. Rule 3, let him wonder. Never show your full hand. This is the rule that separates women men date casually from women men become obsessed with. It's about keeping mystery, not through deception, but through restraint, through not revealing everything about yourself, your feelings or your intentions too quickly. Most women, when they like someone, become an open book. They share their entire dating history by date 2. They explain every feeling, every thought, every hope for the future. They make it crystal clear that they're interested, available, and already thinking about where this could go. And in doing so, they remove the very mystery that makes men want to know more. Men are drawn to what they don't fully understand yet. They're fascinated by layers they haven't uncovered. They're intrigued by women who reveal themselves slowly, on purpose, keeping some parts of themselves just out of reach until they've earned the right to know them. When you show your full hand too early, when you explain everything about who you are and what you want, you give him no reason to keep digging. You answer questions he hasn't even thought to ask yet. You remove the discovery process that builds emotional investment. A woman men chase is slightly unpredictable, not in a chaotic way, but in a way that keeps him paying attention. He can't quite pin her down. He thinks he understands her, and then she surprises him. She has depth he hasn't fully explored yet. She has interests, thoughts, and experiences he's still learning about. This doesn't mean being fake or holding back who you really are. It means not dumping your entire life story, relationship history, and future expectations on someone before they've earned that level of closeness. It means keeping some things to yourself until he's proven he deserves to know them. Let him wonder what you're thinking sometimes. Let him be curious about what you're doing when you're not together. Let him work to understand you instead of handing him a manual to your personality on day one. Let him earn your vulnerability instead of giving it freely to anyone who shows interest. Here's what happens when you keep mystery. He becomes more invested in figuring you out. He pays closer attention to what you say and do. He asks more questions. He thinks about you more when you're not around because he's trying to understand you better. He values the information you do share because it feels like you're choosing to let him in, not desperately spilling everything to hold his attention. The women men chase aren't necessarily more interesting than other women. They're just more thoughtful about how they reveal their interesting qualities. They let men discover them slowly, piece by piece, creating an addictive process of uncovering who they really are. When you let him wonder, when you keep him slightly off balance in the best way possible, when you don't rush to explain yourself or prove your worth, you create the kind of intrigue that turns casual interest into genuine pursuit. You become the puzzle he wants to solve, the book he wants to keep reading, the woman he can't quite figure out yet. And that uncertainty is absolutely magnetic. Rule 4, respond to his actions, not his words. This is the rule that protects you from wasting time on men who will never chase you the way you deserve. It's about having the discipline to only invest in what men actually do, not what they say they'll do, want to do, or plan to do someday. Most women get caught up in potential. A man says he's going to call and they wait by the phone. He talks about future plans and they start building those plans in their minds. He mentions wanting a relationship eventually and they treat him like he's already their boyfriend. They respond to words, promises, and intentions instead of real behavior. And this is exactly how you end up chasing men instead of being chased. Men will say a lot of things, especially in the beginning. They'll talk about taking you on amazing dates, about how different you are, about what they want long term. But the men who actually chase you, the men who become genuinely invested, are the ones whose actions consistently match their words. And the women who get chased are the ones who only respond to those actions. When a man says he'll call you tomorrow but doesn't, a woman men chase doesn't make excuses for him or follow up asking why he didn't call. She simply notices that his words and actions don't line up and adjusts her investment accordingly. She doesn't argue about it or try to understand it. She just responds to what actually happened, not what was supposed to happen. This rule is powerful because it naturally filters out men who aren't serious. When you only respond to actions, men who are all talk quickly fade away because they realize their words alone aren't enough to keep your interest. But men who are genuinely interested, men who actually want to chase you, step up their actions to match their words because they understand that's what it takes to keep you engaged. Here's what responding to actions looks like in real life. He says he wants to see you this weekend, but doesn't make concrete plans. You don't sit around waiting or following up. You make other plans. He texts you saying he's thinking about you but hasn't asked you out in 2 weeks. You don't reward those texts with long replies or reassurance. You respond briefly and let your lack of availability speak for itself. When you respond only to actions, you're not being harsh or unforgiving. You're being realistic. You're treating men like adults who are capable of following through on what they say. And you're refusing to give relationship-level investment to men who are only giving you potential-level effort. Men respect this more than anything else. They respect women who don't accept words as currency, who don't make excuses for inconsistency, and who don't invest emotional energy in men who haven't earned it through steady, reliable action. The women men chase relentlessly are women who have made it clear, not through words, but through their own actions, that being in their life requires more than good intentions. It requires follow-through. It requires consistency. It requires effort that matches interest. When you respond only to actions, men realize they can't keep your attention with smooth talk or future promises. They realize that if they want to be in your life, if they want to secure your time and attention, they have to actually do the things they say they'll do. They have to show up consistently and reliably in ways that show their interest isn't just verbal. This creates a natural chase because men who are serious about you will increase their actions to keep you engaged, while men who aren't serious will filter themselves out. You're not chasing anyone. You're not trying to turn words into actions. You're simply standing still and letting men's real behavior determine whether they get to move forward with you or not. Let me share what happens when women actually put these 4 rules into practice in their dating lives, because understanding them in theory is one thing, but seeing the change in action is what makes them real. Take Sarah. She had spent 8 months wondering why men would seem incredibly interested for 3 weeks and then suddenly go cold. She was attractive, successful, had a great personality, but she was matching effort exactly, always available, explaining every detail of her life by date 2 and responding to men's words instead of their actions. When she learned these rules, everything shifted. She started staying slightly less invested than the men pursuing her. She created space by keeping up her social life and hobbies instead of making men her priority. She stopped revealing everything about herself up front and let men work to understand her. And most importantly, she started only responding to what men actually did, not what they said they would do. Within 3 months, she went from being the woman men lost interest in to being the woman men were desperately trying to lock down. Not because she changed who she was at her core, but because she changed how she showed up in the early stages of dating. Or consider Michelle, who used to think that being the cool, always available girl was what attracted men. She would clear her schedule whenever a man wanted to see her, text back right away every time, share her entire relationship history on the first date, and give men credit for good intentions even when their actions were inconsistent. When she started applying these rules, she didn't become cold or start playing games. She became selective. She kept her investment slightly below theirs. She made sure men had to work around her schedule, not the other way around. She kept parts of herself private until men earned deeper access, and she stopped giving energy to words without action. The result was transformative. Men who previously would have dated her casually and moved on started pursuing her seriously. They started making real plans. They started showing up consistently. They started fighting for her time and attention because she made it clear through her behavior that those things weren't freely given. Then there's Jennifer, who realized she had been handing men all the power by showing her full hand right away and responding to potential instead of reality. She was the woman who would analyze why a man said he'd call but didn't, making excuses for him and giving him another chance. She was the woman who would reveal all her feelings early, hoping honesty would create closeness. When she shifted to these 4 rules, when she started letting men chase her instead of chasing them, everything changed. She stopped over-explaining herself. She created mystery, not through deception, but through restraint. She responded only to consistent action, and suddenly she wasn't wondering if men liked her. She was deciding which men were worth her time. These aren't isolated stories. This is the pattern that repeats every time women shift from making themselves easy to catch to making themselves worth chasing. The men don't change. The women just stop doing the things that kill attraction and start doing the things that create pursuit. So how do you bring these 4 rules into your real life, especially when you meet someone you actually like and every instinct is telling you to do the opposite? How do you hold on to this framework when emotions are high and old patterns feel safe? First, before engaging with any man romantically, remind yourself that your interest is valuable and shouldn't be given away free. Write down these 4 rules where you can see them daily. Make them your filter for how you show up in dating. Second, practice the pause. When a man reaches out, when he suggests plans, when he shares something, don't respond right away. Not as a game, but as a practice of checking in with yourself first. Ask, am I about to match his effort or stay slightly less invested? Am I creating space or filling it? Am I about to reveal something I should keep to myself? Am I responding to his words or his actions? Third, keep your life outside of dating strong, like your attraction depends on it, because it does. Keep your friendships strong. Pursue your goals actively. Have hobbies and interests that fulfill you. When you have a full life, creating space happens naturally because you genuinely have things you value as much as or more than any new romantic interest. Fourth, set a personal rule about revealing yourself. Decide that you'll only share deeper parts of yourself, your history, your vulnerabilities, after someone has shown through consistent action over time that they deserve that access. Mystery isn't deception. It's discretion. Fifth, keep a mental note of the pattern between words and actions with every man you date. Don't make excuses for inconsistency. Don't fill in the gaps between what he says and what he does with hope or potential. Just watch the pattern and respond accordingly. And finally, remember that these rules aren't about controlling men or playing games. They're about respecting yourself enough not to give away your power the moment someone shows interest. They're about understanding that chase isn't something you create artificially. It's something you allow naturally by not being so available, so revealed, so invested that there's nothing left to pursue. The more you practice these rules, the more natural they become. And the more natural they become, the more you'll notice that men start showing up differently in your life. They'll put in more effort. They'll be more consistent. They'll pursue you more actively, not because you're manipulating them, but because you're finally creating the conditions where pursuit feels natural and necessary. If you've made it this far, you understand that this isn't about games or tricks. This is about understanding male psychology so well that you naturally become the woman men can't stop chasing. This is about stepping into your power instead of giving it away to anyone who shows you attention. The woman men chase relentlessly isn't trying to be chased. She's living her life in a way that makes chase inevitable. She's not more invested than the men pursuing her. She creates space that allows them to miss her. She keeps a sense of mystery that makes them want to know more. And she only responds to actions, not promises. These 4 rules aren't just about getting men to chase you. They're about respecting yourself enough to require pursuit. They're about understanding that your time, energy, and attention are valuable and shouldn't be given freely to men who haven't proven they deserve them. You don't need to be more beautiful to be chased. You don't need to be more accomplished or more agreeable. You need to be more thoughtful about how you show up in the early stages of attraction. You need to stop doing the things that kill chase and start doing the things that create it naturally. The right man won't be put off by these rules. He'll be energized by them. He won't think you're playing games. He'll think you're different from every other woman who made it too easy. He won't pull away. He'll lean in harder because he'll realize that winning you over actually means something. So stop being so available that men take you for granted. Stop revealing so much so fast that there's nothing left to discover. Stop responding to words when actions tell a different story. Stop matching effort when staying slightly less invested creates the tension that keeps attraction alive. Start being the woman who has a life worth pursuing, a personality worth uncovering, standards worth meeting, and time worth earning. Because that woman doesn't have to chase anyone. That woman gets chased consistently and relentlessly by men who understand that she's not the easy option. She's the worthwhile one. And when you become her, when you embody these 4 rules so naturally that they're just how you operate, you won't have to wonder why some women get chased while others don't. You'll be the woman men tell their friends about, the woman they don't want to lose, the woman they fight to keep, because you'll have finally stopped doing what everyone does and started doing what actually works. You'll have stopped giving your power away and started requiring men to earn it. And that shift, that basic change in how you show up, that's what transforms you from the woman men date casually into the woman men chase desperately. The woman men chase isn't perfect. She's not playing games. She's not manipulating anyone. She's simply clear on her worth and unwilling to accept less than she deserves. And that clarity, that unwillingness to settle, that's the most attractive quality a woman can have. So stop chasing, stop over-investing, stop explaining yourself, stop accepting words without actions, and start being the woman who makes men work to keep her interest. Not because she's playing hard to get, but because she genuinely is hard to get, because she has standards, because she has a life, because she has herself. And when you do, everything changes. The chase becomes natural, the pursuit becomes inevitable, and you finally understand why some women never have to wonder if a man likes them. Because those women have men proving it every single day through consistent action and relentless pursuit. That woman can be you, not someday, starting right now.